A lion never loses sleep over the opinions of sheep, but sometimes it has to remind them why it rules the jungle. Boom! The universe just slammed its fist down, flipping the table right in front of that loudmouth clown. They strutted into your space, thinking they were untouchable, like they owned the place. But the universe had other plans. It doesn't play favorites, and today, it played them. Their confidence turned to coughing, their smirks twisted into silence. They messed with a storm and thought they wouldn't get struck. Now, they're out here gasping, trying to catch their breath, while the whole crowd watches them fold. That's what happens when someone throws punches at the universe's chosen. The hit doesn't land, but the return blow. It knocks the air clean out of their lungs. If you're feeling that power, feeling this message already, don't just sit with it, like and subscribe. That simple action tells YouTube to push this out to more of the chosen ones who need to hear it. Every click sends out a signal, pulling in the tribe, spreading the word, waking up those who forgot who they are. The universe moves in patterns, and right now, you're part of the ripple. Now let's get into it. Being chosen isn't about flashy lights or someone tapping you on the shoulder with a crown. It's deeper than that. It's the quiet pull in your gut when everyone tells you to sit down, but something inside says, stand up. It's the fire in your chest when the world tries to dim your light, but you burn brighter. And here's the truth they don't want you to know. You being chosen is their worst nightmare. Your existence shakes their comfort zones. It reminds them of everything they'll never be, everything they fear. That's why they come at you sideways, trying to test your patience, hoping you'll slip. But they're not fighting you, they're fighting the universe. And that's a battle they can't win. These clowns, they think they're sparring with just you, throwing jabs like you're standing there alone. But they don't see the universe standing right behind you, arms crossed, watching. Every insult they toss, every scheme they plot, they're really just punching the wind. And when the universe finally steps in, it doesn't slap, it erases, like a tidal wave wiping the shore clean. That's why their downfall is always louder than their rise. They came to break you, but broke themselves instead. And you, yeah, you, the chosen one. Why do you doubt? Why do you keep questioning the light inside you, acting like you're just out here on your own, fighting solo? Wake up. That doubt is the only thing slowing you down. The universe already marked you. It's not your job to convince anyone of your worth, it's your job to own it. They're scared of what happens when you finally realize how powerful you are. That's why they try to drag you down, poke holes in your confidence, play mind games. But remember this, a star doesn't beg for attention, it shines, and the whole sky has to adjust. You're the storm they whispered about, the shift they prayed would never come. But here you are, still standing, still rising. And every time someone challenges you, every time a clown steps up thinking they've got something on you, that's just another chance for the universe to show off through you. Their downfall is entertainment for the chosen. Keep your head high, let the universe handle the noise. You just focus on shining brighter, the ones choking on your light. Let them. You were never meant to fit in their small world anyway. So, are you feeling that fire building up? That pulse in your chest that says this message is for you? Don't scroll past it. Drop the number 77 in the comments if you know that clown who tried to dim your light is somewhere choking on their own pride right now. Let's shake this place up. Let's flood this space with energy only the chosen ones carry. And trust me, if you've ever left someone speechless just by standing in your truth, You're going to want to stick around for what's next. This isn't just talk, it's a mirror. All right, let's get into it. Number 1. When you step in, their whole house of cards comes crashing down. They built castles out of lies, but forgot that truth comes like a wrecking ball. The moment you entered the scene, the ground beneath their feet shifted. They could feel it. The unease, the crack in their little empire starting to split wide open. These clowns strutted around, puffed up with false pride, thinking they had you cornered, thinking they ran the show. But what they didn't know was that the universe was watching, silent but loaded, ready to pull the rug from under their circus. Your presence wasn't loud, but it was seismic. Like gravity itself leaned in your direction, tipping the balance. You were never the underdog. You were the earthquake beneath their shaky throne, the wind that snatches the mask off the puppet master. They walked in with their egos blazing, thinking they were the hunters. But the second they crossed your path, they became the prey. And now, their whole act is falling apart, brick by brick, exposed for the fraud it always was. That's the thing about messing with a chosen one. These clowns weren't just picking a fight with you. They were fighting the whole system that keeps the universe in check. You are wired into something bigger, something they can't see, but they can feel. Every time they tried to block your path, they weren't just blocking you, they were standing in front of a freight train, and the universe doesn't swerve for anybody. You ever wonder why they come at you so hard? Why the hate feels so personal? Why the games are so ruthless? It's because you remind them of everything they're not. Your light exposes their shadows. Your rise puts a spotlight on the emptiness of their crowns. They see you as a threat because you don't need their approval, their circles, or their schemes. And when they tried to play you, oh, they didn't know they were gambling with house money. The universe never loses. Let me tell you something brutal but true. They were never fighting you. They were fighting fate itself. They thought they could bend the rules, twist the game, rig the board. But the universe doesn't play favorites. It plays fair. And when it steps in, it levels the whole field. No warnings, no mercy. Look at them now, the ones who laughed the loudest, choking, the ones who led the charge against you, gasping. Their empire wasn't built on solid ground. It was stacked on ego and envy, and you were the mirror showing them their cracks. Their spiritual bank account is overdrawn. Every dirty move they made, every lie they told, every knife they threw behind your back. The universe was keeping score, and now the debt collectors are knocking at their door. But here's where I turn to you, the chosen one. Why do you doubt? Why do you think you're walking alone when you've got the whole cosmos aligned with your purpose? Stop underestimating your light. You've got galaxies in your DNA, the pulse of the universe running through your veins. They tried to trap you in their small world because they knew if you ever stepped into your full power, they wouldn't stand a chance. You are not here by accident. The universe handpicked you, not because it was easy, but because you could carry the weight of this calling. And the minute you stop doubting, stop dimming your light to make others comfortable, the game flips entirely. They weren't ready for this version of you. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone gasping for air in your presence. Your wins are loud enough. Your survival shakes rooms. The power of being chosen means the universe reshapes itself around you. Doors open, paths clear. Enemies crumble without you lifting a finger. They were playing checkers in a system designed for chess. You move different. You win different. So next time they come for you, remember, they're not really coming for you. They're trying to fight gravity. They're swinging at the wind, and that's why they're always the ones left gasping while you keep rising. Let them choke on the truth. You've got bigger things to do. Number 2. When their circus tent burns, even the clowns turn on each other. Loyalty built on lies collapses faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. The fall never looks graceful. It's ugly, it's chaotic, it's loud. And right now, you're standing front row, watching their whole alliance crack apart like dry earth under a relentless sun. The so-called army they built against you? Scattered. The ringleader? Lost in the smoke of their own fire. You see, it's easy to build a crowd when the goal is tearing someone else down. But when the ground starts shaking, that crowd runs. They thought they were invincible because there were so many of them, right? That safety in numbers mentality had them puffed up, making noise, throwing dirt on your name, high-fiving each other like they'd already won. But the thing about alliances built on envy and deceit, they collapse the moment truth walks into the room. The universe doesn't just dismantle the leader, it takes down the whole rotten system that gave them power. And now, those clowns are gasping for breath, struggling to find their footing as the truth suffocates the lies they built their foundation on. One by one, their strings snap. The puppet master who once held them all together, pulling their levers and making them dance to the same hateful tune. Helpless, watching their little performance unravel, powerless to stop it. The production they directed so confidently, staging every scene, writing every line to paint themselves as the victor. It's all burning down, and the actors are stumbling off stage, tearing each other apart before the final curtain falls. And here's the sick twist. They don't even go down with honor. Oh no, these aren't the ride-or-die types they pretended to be. Loyalty? That was just a costume they wore, and now that the fire's lit, they're tossing each other to the flames, scrambling to save themselves, shifting the blame like it's a game of hot potato. Watch them point fingers, rewrite history, try to carve themselves out of the sinking ship they all helped build. Victims. That's the role they all want now. See how fast they swap masks? Yesterday, they were the wolves circling you, bold and unafraid. But today, they're innocent sheep, claiming they didn't know, that they were misled, that it wasn't their fault. You see this in real time. The loudest ones, the ones who threw the sharpest stones. They're the first to fold, first to cry foul, first to paint themselves as unwilling participants. But you know the truth. The universe knows the truth. They weren't just part of the show, they were cheering in the front row. The collapse of their alliance isn't just punishment, it's karma in surround sound. It's the echo of every dirty scheme they plotted together, coming back to tear them apart. And the best part? You don't even have to lift a finger. You just sit back and watch as the same energy they sent out circles back like a boomerang, knocking the air out of them. But let's get something straight right here, right now. This isn't just about them falling apart. It's about you standing tall while they do. This is your reminder that the power of being chosen is not just about surviving attacks. It's about outlasting the attackers. You didn't have to scheme. You didn't have to lower yourself. You stayed in your lane, kept your hands clean, and the universe did the heavy lifting. They brought the house down on their own heads. And maybe, just maybe, you've doubted yourself along the way. Maybe when they came at you in numbers, you questioned your own light, wondered if standing alone meant you were wrong. But let this be a lesson burned into your bones. The chosen don't need a crowd. The chosen carry the universe at their back, and when that alignment kicks in, no alliance built on lies can survive. You are the sun, and they are shadows. The closer they get, the faster they burn. See, they thought the universe would sit this one out, thought they could rewrite the rules, twist the system to favor their side. But they forgot that when you're chosen, the system bends around you. They thought they were just playing a game with you, but they were playing against the code of the universe itself. They rigged the board, but the universe flipped the whole table. Look at them now, once so united, marching together, shouting in sync. Now, disbanded, scattered. Some of them are pretending they never knew the leader. Some are begging for mercy. Some are spinning stories so wild, even they can't keep track of their own lies. That alliance they leaned on like a crutch snapped. Loyalty turned to dust. Their alliance was never real. It was a temporary contract signed in fear, sealed with jealousy, and broken by the weight of truth. You stand here today, not just as a survivor, but as proof that truth stands taller than any lie they tried to build. And their collapse, that's your evidence. Their downfall is not just a spectacle, it's a warning. A reminder to every other clown in the crowd thinking they can try you next. This is what happens when you come for someone chosen. Not only do you fall, but everyone holding your hand falls with you. So don't you dare lower your light to make anyone feel comfortable. Don't you dare doubt the power that pulses through you. When the universe chose you, it signed a contract in your name. And no alliance, no army, no puppet master can override that. The universe doesn't make mistakes. Let them choke. Let them scatter. Let them burn their own circus to the ground. Meanwhile, you keep rising, because that's what the chosen do. Number 3, their foundation was built on sand, and you were the storm that was always coming. You can build towers as high as you want, but if the ground beneath you is hollow, the first real storm will bring it all crashing down. They thought they were solid, thought that by banding together they could build something unbreakable, a united front strong enough to crush you beneath the weight of their lies, their schemes, their numbers. But what they built wasn't a fortress, it wasn't even a house. It was a sandcastle at high tide, and the universe was always the ocean, waiting for the right moment to swallow it whole. That moment? It's now. See, there's a difference between real strength and the illusion of it. They mistook their alliance, stitched together by envy and fear, as a solid foundation. But when you build on shaky ground, every single move feels like a gamble. And the second the universe sends that first ripple of consequence through their world, the whole thing crumbles beneath them. That's what you're witnessing now. The breaking down of something that never had the right to stand in the first place. Their so-called unity, it's a joke now. What looked like a tight circle has turned into a stampede. They're scrambling, every last one of them, scrambling to save themselves like rats leaping off a sinking ship. And the best part? They know it's sinking. The panic is written all over them. The lies they told to keep their alliance glued together can't hold under the weight of truth. It's snapping, tearing apart at the seams. When they were on top, when they thought they had you cornered, they moved like a pack, bold, loud, fearless. But that was always temporary, because when fear is the glue, the second it heats up, it melts. And right now, that glue's turned to water. Their unified front fractures right before your eyes. No more group chats, no more late-night calls plotting their next move against you. Now, it's every clown for themselves. Their combined purpose has splintered into solitary desperation. They're out here tossing each other under the bus just to breathe a little longer. Watch how fast they switch up. The ones who called themselves family, backstabbers. The ones who shouted the loudest in the crowd, silent. That's what happens when the foundation is weak. It never takes much to break it. Just time. And the universe always knows when to turn the pressure up. The irony. They always thought you were the fragile one. They thought you were standing alone. But the truth is, you were standing on bedrock, on solid ground, while they huddled together on quicksand. Every step they took was sinking them deeper. They built an entire strategy on dragging you down, thinking that if they pulled you low enough, they'd somehow rise higher. But the universe doesn't work that way. The universe rewards truth. It holds space for those who walk in alignment, those who stand tall, even when the crowd is screaming. And you? You were chosen not because you wanted the fight, but because you could handle it. Because you could stand firm when everything around you shook. They weren't built for this. Now, their communication breaks down faster than their lies. The chain they wrapped around you, it's turned on them. Every link is snapping, every message misinterpreted, every alliance second-guessed. They don't know who's going to flip on them first, who's going to sell out the others, who's going to come clean just to save their own skin. It's chaos in their camp while you remain centered. That's the power of being chosen. The storm hits, and you stand firm. But they fall apart at the first crack of thunder. And here's something brutal. They were never fighting to win. They were fighting not to lose. They were afraid from the start. Afraid of what your light meant, what it showed them about themselves. They thought if they ganged up on you, they could dim it, could bury it. But they didn't realize that the chosen don't need protection. The chosen are the protection. The universe steps in when you stand in your truth, and it makes sure every false foundation is exposed. So now, let them scramble. Let them devour each other, trying to escape the mess they made. Their foundation isn't just breaking down, it's turning to dust. And they know it. That's why they can't hold the line anymore. That's why the circus tent is collapsing, not just around the ringleader, but around every last performer. Stay grounded, stay still. Let the storm they started tear through their world. The universe is clearing the space for you, breaking down the false to make room for the real. And when it's all said and done, you'll still be standing. Because when you're chosen, you don't need to fight for survival. The universe already wrote your victory in the stars. Number 4. When their web of lies turns into a trap, they can't escape. The louder the lies, the quicker they twist around your throat. Here's where it gets real ugly. See, when the dust starts to settle and the walls close in, the first thing to go is trust. Miscommunication breeds paranoia, and now every word they speak to each other is laced with suspicion. What once was a united front, a so-called partnership built to tear you down, is now just a room full of eyes watching every move, every slip, every crack in the armor. Their messages, twisted, intentions, completely misread. No one knows what anyone else is really saying anymore. Every sentence sounds like a threat. Every plan feels like a setup. What little scraps of loyalty they had left, gone, vaporized. Suspicion sits heavy between them now, thicker than any alliance ever was. They huddle together, but every one of them's got a knife hidden behind their back, ready to plunge it into the nearest spine, if it means saving themselves. This is the irony, the kind that hits like a gut punch. The very network they built to amplify their attack against you, the connections they forged in secret, whispering in corners, plotting in shadows. That network is now a noose tightening around their collective necks. The same strategy they thought would guarantee their victory. It's speeding up their collapse. The lies they told are now tripping them up faster than karma could ever catch them. They don't need anyone to expose them, they're exposing themselves. And that paranoia? It's poison. It's dripping into everything they touch. Every plan misaligned, every move questioned, every glance second-guessed. They can't trust each other because deep down, they know what they've done. They know they moved dirty. They know they built their entire alliance on shaky morals and shared hate, not real partnership. So now, when things start falling apart, they assume everyone else is just as crooked as they are. And that's the beauty of the universe at work. You don't have to lift a finger. You don't have to argue. You don't have to defend yourself. The same people who came together to crush you, they're tearing each other apart with their own bare hands. Fear replaces fellowship. They can't even look each other in the eye without wondering who's about to fold, who's about to spill, who's going to sell out the rest just to avoid the fallout. Let's be real. When you're chosen, you don't have to fight dirty. The universe handles the heavy lifting. It turns their weapons into boomerangs. That alliance they formed was never strong enough to face the truth. And now, as the truth floods in like a tidal wave, they're too busy drowning in their own paranoia to hold it back. They're looking over their shoulders, whispering in circles, pointing fingers in the dark. They built a web meant to catch you, to tie you down, to keep you from rising. But the thing about webs is, they're sticky. And when the spider panics, it gets caught in its own trap. That's exactly where they are now. Stuck, tangled in the lies they spun together. Watching the same web that was supposed to hold you back now choke the life out of their plans. You know what's wild? They never thought this would happen. They were so sure of themselves, so confident in their schemes. They laughed. They celebrated before the fight was even over, thinking the numbers game would always be in their favor. But numbers mean nothing when everyone's counting their own steps, watching their own backs, waiting for the next betrayal. That's not strength. That's survival mode. And that's what happens when you come for someone chosen. The universe won't just defend you, it'll unravel them, one thread at a time, one doubt at a time, until the whole thing falls apart without you saying a word. That's power. That's divine justice. That's why the chosen never have to get dirty. Their enemies always self-destruct. So sit back, watch the show. Let them twist themselves into knots, trying to figure out which one's going to crack first. Their fear is louder than their plans now, and the louder they get, the closer they are to their own downfall. The very tools they built to break you, breaking them. The very people they thought would back them forever, turning on each other. The very lies they told, suffocating their alliance. This is what it looks like when paranoia replaces partnership, when fear eats the foundation of a fake alliance. The same universe they tried to bend in their favor, bent back harder. And you're just standing there chosen, untouchable, watching it all fall apart, exactly how it was always meant to. Let them choke on it. Number 5. You didn't lift a finger, and still you shook their whole world. Sometimes the loudest war cry is silence, because real power doesn't need to scream to be felt. They thought you were weak because you didn't bark back, thought your silence meant surrender. That because you weren't shouting, swinging, scrambling like them, you must have been scared. But here's the truth. The stillness they mocked was the very force that unraveled them. While they wasted breath crafting lies, building alliances, and running in frantic circles to outmaneuver you, you stayed still. You conserved your energy. You let them tire themselves out, trying to break what they never had the power to touch. Your silence? It wasn't emptiness. It was calculation. It was discipline. It was power. A kind of power they couldn't understand, because they've never known what it feels like to stand on solid ground without needing validation, without chasing clout, without performing for attention. While they faked strength through chaos, you embodied real strength through control. Stillness is not the absence of force, it's the containment of it. While they blew every fuse trying to expose you, trying to get a reaction, you sat behind the thick walls of your own truth. They couldn't get in, couldn't figure you out, and nothing rattles a fraud faster than someone they can't read. They threw bait, set traps, launched insults from every angle. But you didn't bite once. That's what really got them. That's what cracked their confidence. Because the more you remained unmoved, the more their desperation grew. They mistook your calm for cowardice. They thought your peace was weakness. But the truth is, only the truly powerful can sit still in a storm and not flinch. Only someone aligned with something greater can stay centered while the circus burns. You let them think they were winning. Let them believe the illusion that you were crumbling, all while the universe was preparing your rise and their collapse. What they never saw coming was the weight of your non-reaction. Because when you didn't respond, they started hearing echoes of their own madness. That silence, it turned into a mirror. It reflected everything ugly and fake back at them. And suddenly, they couldn't hide behind the noise anymore. Your calm became a spotlight, your stillness a judgment, your peace a sentence they never saw coming. They underestimated the kind of power that comes from discipline. Because power isn't always loud, it's not always fists and fire. Sometimes it's a quiet refusal to participate in their chaos. And that's what drove them crazy. That's what shook them to their core. You didn't have to destroy them. You just had to be still long enough for them to destroy themselves. They were addicted to movement, addicted to drama. You were rooted, unshaken. That's the kind of presence that sends shockwaves, without you saying a single word. They couldn't figure out why the universe wasn't responding to their cries, why their schemes weren't landing, why their energy kept falling flat. And the whole time, you were right there, unmoved, letting the universe handle what your hands never had to touch. And maybe they'll never admit it, but your stillness scared them. They couldn't understand it, couldn't replicate it, couldn't beat it. How do you fight someone who doesn't swing back? How do you defeat someone who doesn't step into the ring because they don't have to? That's the power of being chosen. That's the power of moving only when called, not when provoked. Every time they looked your way, expecting panic, and found poise instead, they felt smaller. Every time they expected a clap back and got nothing but your calm stare, their confidence cracked a little more. Until it wasn't confidence anymore. It was confusion, then doubt, then fear. They couldn't read your silence, so they made up stories. They couldn't interpret your peace, so they created chaos. They couldn't provoke you, so they turned on each other. And all of it, the collapse, the paranoia, the finger-pointing, happened because you chose to hold your position instead of reacting like they wanted you to. That was your greatest move. And it wasn't even a move at all. So let them call you cold. Let them say you didn't fight, because you didn't need to. You knew the real war wasn't out there. It was within. And you already won that battle a long time ago. That's why the universe chose you. Not because you were the loudest or the flashiest, but because you knew when to be still and when to let universal justice do what fists never could. So don't question your silence. Don't regret your calm. Your stillness was never weakness. It was the storm they didn't see coming. And now, they're still spinning, still scrambling, still choking, while you're just getting started. Number 6, they gambled on your reaction and bet everything on the wrong hand. The calmest in the room is always the deadliest, because they know patience feeds power. This is where their downfall gets personal. This is where the universe shows them that their biggest mistake wasn't what they did. It was misreading you. They thought they were dealing with someone like them. Someone who would flinch, lash out, take the bait, and get tangled up in their games. They counted on it, built their whole strategy on the idea that you'd fold under pressure. But you didn't move. You didn't bite. And that's the miscalculation that cost them everything. They never understood that hurricanes have calm centers, that volcanoes sit silent for years before they erupt and wipe out entire landscapes in a breath, that the deadliest predators don't roar before they strike. They move in silence, watch patiently, and then hit so fast, there's no chance to recover. They were too busy mistaking your quiet for weakness, too focused on trying to provoke you, to see the real threat standing right in front of them. Every bait they dangled, ignored, every trap they laid, empty, every insult they hurled at you, hoping to spark a reaction, to drag you into the mud, fell flat. You left them swinging at the air, shouting into the void. And that, right there, that was the beginning of their end. Because nothing messes with a fragile ego faster than being ignored. Nothing cuts deeper than realizing their best punches never even landed. They thought they were playing chess, but they didn't realize you were the board. They thought they had moves, but you'd already mapped out the game 10 steps ahead. You never needed to strike first. You never needed to burn yourself out. While they ran through their arsenal, burning energy, losing focus, exposing themselves, you conserved yours. You stayed patient. You stayed still. And that spiritual discipline, that's what drove them mad. Because they live in chaos. They thrive on reaction. If they can't pull you into their storm, they're powerless. But you held your ground, planted deep in your truth, unmoved by the noise. They couldn't understand it. They couldn't control it. So it broke them. They burned through everything trying to pull you out of character. And while they emptied clip after clip, you sat back and watched. You didn't just conserve your ammunition. You let them waste theirs. That's the thing about those who fight dirty. They don't know how to handle someone who refuses to play. They don't know how to fight someone who doesn't swing back, but still wins. Your emotional sovereignty wasn't just a shield, it was a weapon. They couldn't penetrate it, couldn't shake it. And every time they failed to get a rise out of you, they turned that frustration on themselves. They started questioning their own power, doubting their own strength. The very thing they thought would bring you down, it brought them down. The universe has a savage sense of humor like that. It lets them burn out their energy, thinking they're winning, thinking they're wearing you down. But while they're swinging wildly, you're gathering power. While they're running circles, you're planting roots. And when the time comes, when it's your turn to move, you move with force. You move like the hurricane they never saw coming, like the volcano that's been building pressure while they laughed at its silence. That's the costly miscalculation, the fatal error they never recover from. They thought they were in control because they were loud. But they forgot that power isn't about noise. Power is about patience. Power is knowing you don't need to react right away. Power is knowing that the one who moves last moves best. And now, they're out of gas. Their arsenal's empty. Their traps are broken. Their strategies have collapsed. And you're still here, fully loaded, fully focused, fully grounded. That's what separates the chosen from the clowns. You don't react to every move. You wait for the right moment. And when that moment comes, there's no defense strong enough to stop it. So let them regret underestimating you. Let them choke on the realization that you were never the easy target they thought. You were the storm, the predator, the eruption waiting to happen. They misread the silence. And now, they're paying for it with everything they built. Their costly miscalculation wasn't just thinking they could beat you, it was thinking you'd even show up to fight on their terms. You never had to. You've already won. Number 7. You walked away, and they've been chained to the game ever since. The one who cares less always holds the power, and the one who walks away owns the room. Here's the real dagger that twists the deepest, the asymmetry of power. You see, while they were obsessed with trying to pull you down, you weren't even thinking about them. And that imbalance, that lopsided dynamic, that's what broke them. They threw every ounce of energy, every waking thought into trying to get a reaction out of you, to make you play their game. But the moment you stopped caring, you won. And the moment they realized that, it drove them mad. Because the worst thing you can do to someone who feeds off attention is deny them the fuel. They needed you to react. They needed you to play the game. But when you walked away, you left them trapped, spinning in the mess they created for you. But now, they're the only ones still playing. That's the power of being chosen. You don't have to match their energy. You don't have to stoop down and meet them at their level. You rise above it. You keep moving. And when you move, the universe moves with you. Meanwhile, they stay stuck, obsessing, reloading the same tired plans, rehashing the same schemes, all while you're out here living. Their obsession with you only grew the more you released your obsession with them. The less you cared, the more they did. That's the twisted beauty of asymmetric power. You were never on equal footing because you were never playing the same game. They were fighting for your attention, but you had already left the ring. You ever watch someone argue with themselves? That's what this is now. They've been locked in a battle against their own shadow since the day you stopped giving them anything to push against. Their whole identity was built around trying to pull you down. But when you kept rising without acknowledging them, it ripped the ground out from beneath their feet. They thought your attention kept you tethered to the fight. But your freedom, your peace, that imprisoned them. And that's the difference between the chosen and the clowns. They thought power meant domination. They thought it meant forcing your hand, pulling you down into the mud. But real power is freedom. It's walking away while they keep screaming your name, begging for a reaction. It's living your life while they exhaust theirs, trying to understand why you don't even flinch. Every move you made toward freedom, every step you took in silence, stacked weight on their shoulders. You escaped the cycle they needed to survive in. You were their reason to wake up. Their reason to scheme, their reason to breathe. And now that you've cut the cord, they're stuck battling themselves. You left the game, but they can't stop playing it. And here's the brutal irony. They thought they were trapping you, but they were chaining themselves to the dynamic. You broke free. They stayed locked in. You released the grudge, the anger, the need for revenge. But them, they kept carrying it, dragging it like a ball and chain. Their fixation grew heavier every time you refused to pick up the rope and pull. That's what breaks people. That's what drives them to madness. You outgrew the battlefield. They stayed behind, swinging at ghosts. And with every swing, they cut themselves deeper. The universe doesn't reward obsession. It rewards release. And you released it all. While they kept holding on, tighter and tighter, suffocating under the weight of their own fixation. They lost before the first move. Why? Because they were playing against themselves the whole time. You were never their opponent. You were the mirror, reflecting back their weakness, their fear, their obsession. The more you pulled away, the clearer that reflection became, and they couldn't stand it. They wanted the fight. You gave them silence. They wanted the war. You gave them peace, and that drove them over the edge. The power imbalance, the asymmetry, turned their game into a cage. The same cage they built for you, they locked themselves inside. That's the power of walking away. That's the power of the chosen. You don't have to scream. You don't have to fight. You just have to leave. And when you do, the ones obsessed with your downfall fall apart on their own. So remember this: the one who can let go always wins, because letting go means you've outgrown the game. Let them stay there, tangled in their schemes, playing the same tired moves, obsessed with your next step while you've already moved miles ahead. They're still fighting the ghost of you. You're free. Number 8. They thought you were exposed, but they never saw the army standing behind you. What they couldn't see is what broke them. They came at you blind, eyes wide open, but spiritually blind, swinging in the dark at something they never understood. They thought you were out here alone, vulnerable, an easy target. But the moment they stepped to you, they didn't just face you. They faced the cosmic forces that surround and protect you, forces they couldn't even begin to comprehend. You've got ancient guardians posted at every corner of your energy field, standing like sentinels, unmoving, unshaken. Celestial defenders patrol your space, intercepting the garbage they try to send your way before it even gets close. Divine forces stand ready, absorbing every attack, every projection, every scheme aimed at your downfall, and flipping it right back at them, amplified. And the fools never saw it coming. Why? Because they only see what's right in front of their faces. They see flesh, not force. They see the physical, not the spiritual. That's what makes them dangerous, but also what makes them easy to defeat. They attack the body, but they can't touch the essence. They stab at the shadow, but the real you, untouchable. You were never just flesh and bone. You're aligned with something older, deeper, stronger. The universe chose you, and with that choice came a shield they can't penetrate, no matter how hard they swing. They mistake your silence for weakness, your stillness for exposure. But it's nothing but a setup. The universe baited them in so they could crumble on contact. They never saw the fortification. Their vision is too small, too shallow, stuck in the material world. They believe in what they can see, touch, manipulate. But you're protected by the unseen. You're wrapped in energy so potent, so fierce, that it bends the outcome before they even make their move. They attack what they think is an opening, only to run face first into a wall they can't breach. And that's the most brutal part for them, realizing too late that their attacks don't land, their efforts don't touch, and the blows they throw echo back on their own heads. They're swinging at a fortress with bare hands, bleeding out against an invisible shield. And the more they try, the more they wear themselves down, destroy themselves, because nothing gets through. They could never understand the depth of your protection because their perception doesn't stretch far enough. Their arrogance blinded them. They came at you with swords, not knowing they were stepping into a field of cosmic fire, a space guarded by energies that won't let them through. So let them keep swinging. Let them keep throwing shots into the void. Because every failed strike only reminds them of the one thing they can't stand. They can't touch you. Number 9. You didn't just survive. You evolved while they fell apart. When you rise in frequency, their lies start to fall like static in a broken signal. Here's the part they never saw coming. They thought they could drain you, thought they could pull you down to their level, break your spirit, block your path. But while they were busy plotting your downfall, you were leveling up. While they were sending shots your way, you were connecting deeper, grounding yourself in something they could never reach. Your connection to the source got stronger, while theirs, it fell apart in their hands. Every scheme they ran only made your channel clearer. Every attack only sharpened your clarity, cleaned out the noise, aligned you even tighter with the universe's flow. Your reception grew stronger, while their transmission, static. Their signals dropped. Their messages got twisted. Their plans, their connections, their strategies all glitched out and crashed because their system couldn't handle the frequency you were rising into. You were downloading wisdom, insight, truth, upgrading at a level they didn't even know existed. And them, their uploads corrupted. Every move they made, every lie they spread, it backfired, tangled up in its own mess, leaving them more lost, more disconnected. They couldn't handle the energy they stirred up. You expanded while they buffered, stuck in the same broken cycle, lagging behind, trying to catch up to a version of you that's already miles ahead. Your vibrational rise became the very thing that tore their world apart. The higher you climbed, the shakier their foundation got. Their illusion couldn't hold up in the presence of your truth. That's the part they never accounted for. They thought this was about you versus them, but this was always about you outgrowing the whole system they built. Your elevation created interference in their low-frequency existence. Every time you raised your vibration, it distorted the lies they tried to live in. Every step you took toward truth rattled their false reality harder. They thought they could trap you in the game, but you transcended it. You didn't just win, you evolved. And as your consciousness expanded, their carefully constructed world, built on deception, built on control, collapsed in on itself. The more you awakened, the more their reality disintegrated. You became the glitch in their system, the crack in their mirror, the frequency they couldn't block out. Your spiritual clarity destabilized everything they stood on. They tried to block your path, but your rise shook their foundation. Their whole strategy was based on the idea that you'd stay small, stay reactive, stay on their level. But you didn't. You soared. You tuned into a frequency they couldn't touch, couldn't follow, couldn't even comprehend. And that's what broke them. They never predicted this, never thought that attacking your peace would activate your power, never calculated that trying to disrupt your journey would fast-track your evolution. But here you are, transformed, elevated, untouchable. And they, still buffering. And so, as their world crumbles and yours expands, remember this: you were always built to rise above. Let them drown in their chaos. You've already ascended. Like, subscribe, drop the number 77 in the comments if you feel that power, and share this with another chosen one who needs this reminder.